Shankaran, thanks a lot for taking the time to come speak to us today. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this August 15th will be ISRO's 56th birthday, right? 1969 is when you started. And to me, it is a North Star of frontier tech in India, right? Because I've not seen any other organization deliver really deep tech or advanced tech solutions to the world. So just would like to start off by asking you what enabled ISRO, which is a central government organization, to be positioned like that and then create an ecosystem around it that is fostering so many startups, so much innovation.
I can continue from what was being told in the previous discussion. It's passion, nothing else. We have one gentleman called Professor A.V. Chitnis, who turned 100 about a week ago. We had a chat with, he was one of the starting members of ISRO along with Professor Vikram Sarabhai. So when we were talking to him, he told us only one thing. If somebody has really done a due diligence or review in 1962, whether to start a space program in India, it would never been started. It was a leap of faith, and simply people jumped in, and the rest is history.
Lovely. But in terms of progressing forward and in terms of the building the ecosystem, what are some of the key challenges that ISRO faced that you have seen or you have heard other people face to build tech that was not non-existent in India, right? Because that's what we are trying to do now. When India is saying we want to become Atmanirbhar, we want to do something in quantum, in robotics, and a whole bunch of life sciences spaces. I think we'll face serious challenges in terms of our inability to have many things that we require. I'm sure ISRO would have faced those challenges. So can you give some anecdotes of some of the challenges you faced and how you overcome it, and how can that translate to other areas we are trying to now advance in?
The primary requirement is first the belief that what we set out to do is really required to be done. It needs to be done. That was the thing that started Professor Vikram Sarabhai, because he firmly believed space technology is required in this country, and he was able to pass on this passion to his collaborators, maybe some 10-20 people. And those 10-20 people have passed on this to another 200-300 people. And I dare say that 200-300 people today have passed on to most of the 20,000 people today, employees of ISRO. That is the main point. First is we need to identify what is required to be done and start believing that it is doable. If we do that, then we will find ways and means of doing it. I'd like to give you an example that when we made the first satellite in India, the opportunity was identified in late 1971. The agreements were signed in 72 May. Project was formed with the condition that with the funding of 3 crore rupees, within 2.5 years, you are supposed to make and deliver a flight-worthy satellite. Even today, I cannot assure that I can make a new satellite within budget, within 2.5 years and deliver it. But this was done. That was possible only because not only the leader believed and the leader was pushing his teammates to do it, that enthusiasm and belief was taken up by the followers also. And we had one advantage at that time, that there were little more flexibility for us to procure, do things. There was the amount of procedures today in government was not there those days. So to that extent, yes, it was little easy, but since nobody knew anything about what is a satellite, and you do it in 2.5 years and successfully launch and make it work, it's a great thing. Same thing similarly like for the launch vehicle. You work for 7-8 years. Even today, somebody designing and coming up with a new launch vehicle takes any time between 15 to 20 years. You should look at the recent history of how many people are trying to make a rocket and failing. And those who have succeeded, for example, SpaceX, who have succeeded, how many times they went bankrupt and come back and started. So it is, the domain is like that. It is only the belief, the need first has to be firmly felt by all the people, and the belief that it is doable and we want to do it. That is what is
Yes, so to draw the parallels between what we tell in entrepreneurship and startups to what ISRO has done, you're saying many things. So ISRO basically looks like operated or is still operating like a startup, with passion and wanting to have a market and then taking risks. But when you said that the government is now, there are a lot more procedures. If you have to replicate it in other areas, which we believe, like the quantum mission of India, the semiconductor mission of India, how would you translate, the strengths we have had in ISRO into other organizations that can create or help catapult India into leadership positions in these areas?
See, to take up any new activity, generally where we get faulted is we try to reproduce something which is available elsewhere. We try to match what is available elsewhere. Mostly the local talent gets derailed by this only. What we are looking up is what is required for your purpose, your end use, your application or mission, what is required. If the product what you are developing indigenously helps you to do that, I don't need to worry about what else competing product which is available around the world is going to give. Because in the process of trying to match the performance of what a competitor is going to offer, we never allow this local indigenous talent to come out with a successful product. So ISRO's success in making several indigenously made things go into its missions lies in this. We do not look for a replacement of an already available, commercially available product. We look for developing a new product which meets the requirement of the mission. So if this approach we are able to look at, probably we may succeed in this.
Yeah, so I think, the attitude and the approach and also policy enablement of the government, I think these are some of the things you're saying becomes very critical. If you were to look at 10 years ago, the ecosystem that was supporting ISRO, and you take a snapshot of where it is today, with all the advances we are talking about in technology, do you see a fundamental change in the Indian ecosystem in terms of the ability to support what ISRO wants and also doing startups in that space, which we'll come to in a minute? Or how do you see us 10 years ago to where we are today and where we will be in the next 5-10 years in terms of our own technology capability in India?
To put it blunt, I would say that still much more can be done. The industry, though, is doing about 75% or 80% of ISRO's work. Actually, most of our work is done in the industry. Only the overall system engineering, integration management, that only is being done in ISRO right now for operational or reproduced things. Whereas what we are looking for is that the industries who are doing this need to add value to the work what they are doing. That if I made a design which is 10 years or 15 years old, we expect somebody who is reproducing it for 10-15 years should come up with a version which is better, smaller and more efficient. The problem is that it requires understanding of the system and understanding of the principles and technology behind that, so that an investment is required from the industry to carry forward this knowledge and make that knowledge as their own. This is where I feel we are still looking for some more things to happen in the industry. The industry is very good at reproducing what has been asked to be reproduced, but adding further value to it, we do expect that something more can be done in that area.
So you're challenging the innovation in the industry, saying got to take the next step and.
No, that is I can also understand why it is not happening, because particularly in space sector, the volume of work is small. The number of items to be realized and delivered is small. So it is not attractive for big players or people with money to spare for investing in R&D and innovation. It is generally the small players who are willing to take up these jobs, because with a small setup, you are able to deliver, say, 5-10 numbers a year those small industries are able to do. Whereas the big industries don't find this very attractive commercially, so they are not taking up these jobs. Because big industry is not taking up this job, there is nobody investing in the R&D, so it becomes only the responsibility of ISRO to innovate and develop new things and offer it to the industry to reproduce. Unless this changes, it is going to be difficult.
But now you're seeing a lot of startups, right, particularly in the space sector in India. If there's one deep tech area which is really marched way ahead of the others, is the space sector with launch vehicles, satellites, and so on and so forth. Are we prepared now to sell to the world in what we are developing, because of these challenges, you think, or where do you see our startups position?
I would love to give you a very positive answer, but the reality is that though we welcome all kinds of startup to do any amount of work, all of them are most of them I would say are knocking at the wrong door. If you see, most of the startups want to build satellites, want to build rockets. If somebody has looked at the distribution of business in the space economy, you will find the value of the space economy in terms of satellite and rockets is about 7 to 8%. The remaining 92% lies elsewhere. And most of these startups are not interested in taking up those activities, or they have not been inspired enough to take up these activities. Everybody wants to do satellite or rocket, which of course very glamorous. I say in India already some 4 or 5 people want to build rockets. Who are going to use these rockets? Rockets are valuable only when somebody wants to put a satellite using that into the orbit. Then who will want the satellite? Satellite is required when somebody wants a service out of it. So finally everything is done for the service. Service sector and the equipment required for the service sector has the lion's share of this space sector market, which is close to 90%. So this is the domain where it is really possible for industry or startups to make money and also sell it to rest of the world. Because if I have one launch vehicle and I can reproduce 20 launch vehicles a year, it is more than adequate for India. Where are you going to sell this launch vehicle if you don't have business outside? If you have a business outside, every country is trying to build their own launch vehicle. Like for example, SpaceX is using their launch vehicle 25 times the booster. So I build one rocket, I don't need for next 1 year one more rocket. So this is the paradox in this, that people are looking at the glamorous part of the space technology and try to get into it, but that is not where the money is.
Okay, no, good point. But where do you see 5 years down the road satellites in the space? There's a lot of articles and discussions saying you'll be filled with satellites, it'll be satellite collision, you need garbage collection of satellites or space waste. Do you see that happening? From your position, how are you seeing that evolve?
See, in the last 3 years itself, the number of satellites launched into the orbit has gone up by a factor of more than 100. What was we were having in space, any object which is more than 10 centimeter is being tracked so that it does not cause any harm to working satellites. So till about 3-4 years ago, the number was less than 20,000. Within the last 3 years, we have already exceeded 30,000. So this number, if we don't do anything today onwards, we don't launch anything into space also, this number will, by the end of 2050 will become 150,000 or more. We don't add anything because what is there will fragment and become smaller objects, but still bigger than 10 centimeter. It is going to create a very huge problem for whoever wants to operate. But there are no enforceable guidelines. There is no body who can enforce any guidelines in this regard because everything here is recommendatory and advisories only. So unless the players get an accident happen when they feel the problem is going to happen, because still, even today the space is too huge. So it is possible that people are still not feeling the gravity of the situation. But it is to be understood, and we have to take necessary measures for this.
So you think that problem is coming our way?
Yes.
Like, lovely. I'll take a couple of questions, but before that, one personal question for you. What is that you have done in ISRO has given you maximum satisfaction? Is it Chandrayaan, or what is coming down the road, or what is your one particular thing that you really feel proud about?
Work in ISRO, no individual single person can claim I have done this. That I would not like to claim anything on any of these subjects. If I can claim anything, that I am able to keep my team enthused and take up new challenge. I will tell you, till last year, if our budget for our center was X number, this year our budget has become 3 times more for my center. So this is possible only because we were able to convince the government who has to fund us that we are able to do this, and what we are able to do is required, and we are able to make our people, which is the strength of our organization has remained the same for the last 40 years. But with the same manpower, we are able to do 100 times more work. If we are able to make our people to do this, that is the greatest achievement.
Lovely. Yeah, no, I think that's a great lesson for all the companies and entrepreneurs here as well. And your humility always shows. That's awesome. Do we have time? I have time for 1 or 2 questions, so we'll take quick 1 or 2 questions from the audience. Yeah, please. Keep it short, please. We are running out of time.
Yeah, sure. Am I audible? So, yes. I want to ask a question regarding you saying about the startup ecosystem, where government has initiated the project of IDEX, where they are funding startups. But when the government is giving the problem statements and startup is trying to apply and win for it, they're asking for 10 years of experience for a startup. So how is it possible? How can we bridge this gap was my question.
It beats me also. The startup is not supposed to have 10 years. You are not supposed to be a startup. You should be in established industry by that time. So I do not know why such things are there, but I don't think such things will continue. It will change.
Okay, I think our screen is saying time up, so I'll not take any more questions. But Mr. Sankaran, thanks a lot for coming here. I think ISRO is really one of the organizations we all look up to. I'm sure we'll continue to see great things come out of ISRO. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.